Hi, Leslie. I miss you so much. You know
Hi,
that
Carla. How are you?
Manila's missing you. And where in the
Yes,
world are you?
yes. I'm here in one of the mountains of Ilocos Sur, enjoying a heaven on earth lifestyle with fresh
I
air,
want that.
no mask. I wanted to talk to you today because we have an upcoming convention, international convention this weekend. It's a 2-day convention on this Sunday, November 8th, and next Sunday, November 15th. And I actually have Master Dilpe with me to discuss
Yes,
more about this convention. And so Master Dilpe, you've met Master Dilpe before,
of
and you know that
course.
he's a modern sage and a life mentor to global CEOs. He's also founder of 3 US based institutes. So our convention this weekend and the one next weekend is the third international convention on higher consciousness. The first one was in Texas, USA. And then the second one was here in Ilocos Sur. But now, since because of the travel restrictions, we're doing it virtually, like online. So, without further
We all
ado,
have to
I
go
will,
through all the platforms, right? So,
yes, yes. So, I'll
right.
call out Master Delpe now so you can ask him more about the convention. Okay?
Fantastic.
All right, Master
Yeah, I'm
Delpe.
so curious about it because I've never attended one.
Hello
Master,
there.
hello.
Hello, how are
How
you?
are you?
Oh, a beautiful
Looking,
place you have there.
Leslie and I have been very close for years now, and then for her to take that turn and uproot herself and to a higher level with the mountains. I am
Yeah.
very I don't know what to say about that, but it's beautiful. But now I do understand because with the pandemic it's like things I get to think about a lot of things, and I realized that you have a convention happening this weekend. So, Master, what is higher consciousness? That's what I would like to know.
Well, if you have the word conscious or consciousness, is about how to use our intelligences, not only the mind, but our emotional intelligence, our intuition, our wisdom, our instincts, our logical mind and abstract mind to be able to navigate life, especially now that we have a failing time, to be able to play our game at the highest level and stay on top of our game and not on the lower side, which is the lower ego. So the lower ego usually give us a problem. I think a lot of the problems today are because the lower egos of leaders had been playing all the way. So we need to start to take charge of our lives by governing our life with our own intuition, our own sense of well-being, and so on, so that we are not victims of circumstances and the mistakes of many of our leaders today.
So, for example, Master, with the things that are ongoing right now, with just like me, a regular person, I just feel like I can do everything and anything, and I can do everything that I can put my heart and mind into, but I just can't get there. I can see it,
Yeah.
but I just can't get there. It's not easy, and so the higher consciousness that you mentioned earlier, do I need to like dig into that in
Yeah,
order for me to get to my direction?
there are at least 5 levels of intelligence. Most people are using only like 10 or 20%. Most people are there stuck in their minds, but not
Okay.
using their feelings or their instincts or intuition. Or some are very emotional and they're not also thinking and they're not intuiting. Or just people just have the instincts, the sense of
Mm.
instincts, but they are not also thinking and planning. So what we're doing in the convention is how to tap into all these levels of intelligence so that you can make better decisions, you can solve your problem, you can prevent your problem becoming a crisis. And if there's a crisis, you can do a self-rescue and self-therapy and self-management for crisis. So we have very important topics like the new best normal. What is it? How do we achieve that? Because a lot of people are talking about new normal, but they never talk about the new best normal. What is the best normal for now? And what are the tools and formula to succeed and thrive and survive during this failing time, which is different formula from good times. Good times, most things will work. Network and friendly connections to people. But in failing times, most people are crying, and so you cannot look for somebody to cry on because everybody is like having a difficult time. In good times, you can cry and people come to you for rescue. In bad times, if you cry, everyone also is crying around you. I mean to say they are also in trouble. So the formula for succeeding and thriving during good times is different from this time of the failure of society. So we have those discussion, the new best normal, how to achieve it. And then we have also the
Yes.
global economy, how the global economy works and how does it operate, why is it failing, and why should not, how do we navigate our local responses so that we're not victim of the global economy's failure. So we talk about the expertise of people and the economists that I have invited, and also people who have done new businesses, going rural, for example, being a rural entrepreneur. How do they use their money a higher value by being in a rural area and still managing their business? Anyway, they cannot do it in person, and I think this will still last for a long time. This quarantine and even become worse because many countries are now locking down again, including Europe and part of US and so on. So I think
Mm-hmm.
we cannot expect that this economy will revive even if we say, okay, we normalize. Many businesses had failed already, so it's not easy to revamp them back. So that's why we need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. In good times, you can hope for the best and prepare for the worst. But in bad times, you need to prepare for the worst and hopefully hope for the best. And our topic also is how do we find the new opportunities and new careers so that we will not fail totally and we will be above the failure line of humanity. So we talk about
But
the new careers. What are
Master,
they? Yeah.
Master, may I ask? With the new careers, that means like reinventing yourself or
Yeah. Not only
tapping
that.
into the tapping into like your unknown talents and
Yes,
skills.
you can dig in into your consciousness and find out what are your other talents that were not utilized, and how do you specialize deep enough that you're the best in your own new line, and how to create new lines of businesses that you are the only one in your path, the only one in your road and your lane. So we have a lot of that brainstorming, and internationally we also see what are the new trends and the new opportunities that we can look into that are hanging out there in the cloud, but we have not looked at because we are looking on the old careers and new opportunity and the old chance of doing business. So we talk about that. We also talk about the earth changes because this is now a lot of predictions of psychics and medium, and they are predicting that the COVID-19 is just a beginning of a bigger reset of the earth and catastrophes and so on. As we have experienced the big typhoon coming in, are not only one anymore, there are many. And
Yes.
I also heard about the big one that is overdue, the big earthquake in California, in Oregon, and in the Philippines as well. And a lot of things had been overdue according to scientific analysis. A lot of the earthquakes zones are overdue to come in, and because of the climatic change, a lot of people also have been thinking of moving to an area that is not close to the seashore, areas that are not in earthquake zones. So I have written a book 6 years ago that talks about the pandemic, talks about the global failure of the economy, talks about a catastrophes, and it's not a good uh, feeling to look at what's possible. But really, if you are forewarned of things and you are arm yourself, then you will not be a victim of surprises and circumstances in the future. So I have a lot of clients who have moved to my village and to my resort because they also studied the climatic change. They studied the earthquake zones, and they studied also the catastrophes, financial catastrophe that happened in the global depression in 1930s. And they have found the trends of the global depression, which caused a lot of starvation, wars, and so on, are now having all the signs of maturity that we are now in global depression, and it's just a matter of months now. And I've been studying a lot of the global economists from the United States, from Europe, and from the World Bank and others. They have been predicting really that there can be soon an anarchy, there can be more um, difficulties. And the United States alone, we have at least 38 million no jobs. I mean, permanently lost their
Mm.
jobs. 38 million out of
Mm.
160. That's almost one fourth of the American jobs are lost right now, and they are increasing every week. And
And
I'm
it's much
sure people are
dependent
not
on the
talking, but
elections now.
if you know your suspended their business. I know a lot of my students around the world who have suspended their business. They're not earning for a few months already, and they're very worried about how much can they sustain maintaining their lifestyle without much income. And so that's a big worry and anxiety is happening now. And so I advise them that just go rural. A lot of you can still manage your businesses, but your money has a higher value in the rural area and safer. And if there's really a food shortage, the city is bad place because the supply is, you have to divide it to millions of people, the supply that's coming in. In the rural area where there's production of rice, corn, sugarcane, vegetables, and fruits, at least you have a few numbers of people that is sharing a bigger amount of food. And so I'm telling that that is one of the things that we need to think about how to. Then another topic is how to be safe and also how to sustain our lives. 20 or 21 speakers from around the world, from Latin America, Africa, Europe, Switzerland, Germany, uh, Italy. We have people from United States, Philippines. We have more people from Philippines and India. And I have only invited people who have been already into the higher consciousness, had new
Right.
paradigm shifts. They have started their businesses not only now but many years ago. And this is like the meeting ground where there's a aftermath discussion. Like the speakers will have to talk after the convention and really do something, share their knowledge and wisdom. There's even one guy from Spain who is an inventor of the new internet who's coming to talk
What is the
because
new
they
internet?
believe that we need to separate from the mainstream internet because it's full of misinformation and all these things. So we have a lot
Interesting.
of people. One from Africa is also the creator of the African cryptocurrency. He used to be the CEO of GE Africa, and he's the leader of the African tribe Ubuntu, which is all the African nations. So he's one of the speakers on the global economy.
What is the one thing that makes you different? ICHC.
I think this one is one that they will not find anywhere else. Most people are talking about wellness, so they only talk about wellness. Some people are only talking about finance and they finance or leadership. This one is all the things that matters in our lives that affects our family life, our career life and business, our health life, our spiritual life, and our social life. Put in one basket. It's a one umbrella discussion, and it involves many experts that are not just on one field together. And secondly, is there's be a post-convention meetings amongst all the participants. They can interact their businesses, they can share notes. And so we plan to put a meetup group after that connects all the speakers to people who will ask more questions about their expertise and maybe collaborate. And they will network many people in their own field and they share their businesses together. And so that's one of the things. Secondly, is it discusses the spiritual side of things. See, you have mainstream media that tells you what they want to say. We have alternative media that also
Yes.
oppose the mainstream media and expose with whistleblowers. There's also the clandestine groups media that tells if they have a regime change, they will do anything to put new narratives that will topple the government. This time, we are a neutral platform that can discuss the esoteric part, the hidden parts, the hidden agenda of things. And we do not interpret the surface because the surface is a very dangerous thing to see as our truth. Whatever the media is saying sometimes are not the truth. There is underlying interest that they project. So what we're talking here is the spiritual groups will be participating to tell their intuition about things. What is not normal? We do not focus only what the scientists are saying. We will also listen to what the psychics are saying, what the healers are saying, what the non-political people are saying, what the spiritual people who are third eye and intuition are saying, the predictions of the people with psychic faculties, what are they seeing in the future? How do they forecast the future? So we're not talking only in the past because most media are talking about what is past, historical data, regurgitating
Yes.
and recycling among statistical projection in the PowerPoint. Here, we're talking maybe around 60% about the future, talking about 30% of the present, and a little bit of the past, because the past is finished. And yet we need to talk about the future.
Master, your brain is just like filled with so much information. It's just amazing.
I have
Wow.
been gifted more by my mentors. I was blessed that I have four advanced masters who had mentored me and really shook my ego. And that is where I started to learn that without unlearning, we cannot really progress. So I have always been an advocate of
Mm.
unlearning, because people go to a seminar or read a book or listen to people. They never thought what is not said by the person. It's not only what we hear. What is not said by a person that is true, but not included in the lecture or not included in their own knowledge. So I always wanted to learn, but I always wanted to unlearn, to relearn a higher level of the data. So I always modify data by looking at what is not complete yet. So when I talk about something, I usually synthesize things that are distilled by me, not what I have heard. I do not parrot information. I either change it and look at as a conclusion from my side and my perspective, rather than parroting the same information. And when I write books, I download them with my
Get
intuition,
it.
my third eye. So when I write books, I needed maybe 10 days to finish a book. So I do write 8 to 10 days a book, because I already have known it. I downloaded it and I just keep on writing it. And then the editor takes maybe 3 months
Mm.
to edit. So I think the gift
Yes.
is not from school. Even though I was educated as an engineer, I've been trained as an entrepreneur. I've been trained as a martial arts master and healer. I think the gift is to understand the 5 levels of intelligence. Not only the instincts to know without thinking, not only emotional intelligence to connect to people and build relationship, not only the concrete mind to think precisely and concretely, the tactics of life,
Okay.
but we need also to see the abstract things, the philosophy of things, the principles that govern life, and then the intuition and wisdom to know even further. So I have taught people about the 5 levels of intelligence, to use it to
Mm-hmm.
decipher, to discern, to decode,
Mm-hmm.
and to use it to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Once a person knows that, they can survive in any difficult time. And so that's what I'm teaching, that the sustainable success of people during failing time is another formula from the peacetime. So that is what we always discuss in the convention: how to really survive and thrive even in difficult time, and how to navigate the change and become stronger and wiser, and how to use your networks of not necessarily most not like-minded people even your opposite, people who have other specialization, people with other expertise. We need now to open up our social connection to people who can complete our gaps. Like if I'm
No,
not good
we
in
don't,
accounting, I need to
unfortunately.
have a friend or a client who's an accountant who will give me some advice. If not, I'm not good in gardening, I need to have somebody to advise me on gardening. So we need to have completion rather than specializations only. So we need to specialize to earn as much, to be number one in our own trade and craft, but we need to have other specialists who will complete our gaps. So
Yes.
I think that is partly what I've been learning that made me survive in any time in my life.
I'm very excited now because at least I know more about it.
So it's 8 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. on Sunday, both Sundays, November 8th and November 15th. It's just 4.5 hours, but that collections of information, wisdom from people who have lived their life and become champions of their cause is shared in 10 minutes slots and panel discussions. And then after that, we have a Q&A. So every speaker has 10 minutes to elaborate on their strategy, their philosophy, and what they did that can be borrowed by people as a strategy and techniques. And then out of 30 minutes, we will have a 15 minutes Q&A live. And that is where people can ask questions, or I can ask questions that can benefit the crowd. They can contact you or Leslie. It's only
Appreciated.
$20, but it includes downloads of books and stress management as DVD. So it's only to cover those materials.
Actually, it's not even a fee because it's like a gift. I mean, what the
Yeah,
$20 is not really, the convention itself is actually free in a way, right?
in the last convention, it was people have to fly here and they have to pay $2,700 to be here for 1 week, and with food, accommodation, and trip from the airport back to the airport. This time it's only $20 to cover the download books and DVDs they can use as tools, and also the funds will be used to sponsor healers to be certified to deal with COVID-19 and the pandemic issues and stress and fatigue in the survivors of families.
And I want that inspiration and motivation. I don't know what you got, but I want it. So I'm gonna go on A.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are coming now to us. In our area, we have a 10 hectares village. I have many places that people can invest now, because since I arrived from the United States in 2015, a lot of people had been offering me good places. Good karma came to me. So I have a place in the hot spring, natural hot spring, so we can always take a bath with natural hot water and in the pool. That is one of the best things that people want to come here. And we have also orchards and vegetable gardens that we can grow our organic fruit to sustain us. Before you close, I'd like to say that this is a very practical convention. It's not a lot of theory only. We will have also healing experiences. We will have group healing. We have also higher meditations for them to align their intelligences. We have also uh, psychic readings and so on. So we have a lot of potpourri of many things. So it's not a convention that's flat. Most conventions are very flat. Somebody talking and hit and run. Here, the speakers have to attend the lectures of others so that they can connect to what they're saying, so that at the end it's a cohesive idea of the convention, not separative. Unlike other conventions I've attended, after you speak, you run, you never talk to anyone again. Here, people will be
Yes.
obliged to talk to each other. All the speakers have to have a form of speakers and can be asked by the people afterwards questions they cannot ask during the convention, because we have the limited time. So that is why it's totally different, because we are building a community of well-connected and well-awakened humanity that will help lead in their own way the next step of the new humanity, because we believe there will be a new humanity coming soon. After the dust settles down, there will be new values that will separate the old humanity and the new humanity. There'll be a lot of awakening in the new humanity that brings the best version of themselves, not only now to be so materialistic, because the lessons of materialism did always fail humanity. The lessons
Mm-hmm.
of empire such as Rome, UK, and eventually United States will also teach a lesson that empires do not always last. And a lot of awakening will happen even in rich people. They see that even their money cannot buy anything except whatever is available. Even your gold and silver coins cannot be eaten. You need to survive in different
It's
ways.
actually
So
very
wealth
evident
eventually
during
will
the
be
pandemic,
distributed.
isn't it?
Yes, we had been hit by the pandemic, not the pandemic, an awakening that we start to understand our lives better. We started to look at our friends better. We started to look at who is who in the marketplace and who can really be your best ally in the transition process.
Yes.
So these are all but part of the discussions. There is a certain kind of pandemic bereavement and grief that's happening because we feel like we have lost our lives. We cannot go back anymore.
Yes.
So there's a certain grief that makes us feel sometimes anxious or sad, or there's a longingness of something that we don't understand yet. And that's why this convention is dealing with how do we deal with the feeling of being lost. And the dark night of the soul is coming to a lot of people, meaninglessness, loss, collapse of meaning, as if what we meant before was not important anymore. So that's I have a book about the dark night of the soul, and I think I have to give you that gift because I want you to read it. If some of the signs in your life is like you are feeling apathy and meaninglessness, or whatever you do, it doesn't work anymore, you have apex your career. So another level of career will come to you, another opportunity will have to be seen by you, another chances will be taken by you, because that is when the dark night of the soul stimulates you to be awakened, and that force you to change.
Oh, so ladies and gentlemen, Master Delpe right here, and I'm so happy. to have you with us today and to
Thank
enlighten
you.
us and tell us about this weekend and next weekend. So November 8th and November 15th is the
Yes,
International Convention of Higher
on higher
Consciousness.
consciousness.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you
Thank
very
you
much,
so
Carla, and
much.
good luck to you.
Have a
Bye.
nice day, Master.
Pleasure.